Says the prophet Jeremiah, found in Megillas Eicha, otherwise known as Lamentations. Mi pi elyon lo teitze harois. From the mouth on high, no evil comes. From the mouth on high, no evil comes. It only appears evil down here. But from on high, and it is bad, down here. But from on high, it's only love and blessing and goodness. Can we possibly get a Zechariah Mikras Gedolos? The Mikras Gedolos, you know what the Mikras Gedolos is? Mikras Gedolos is Zechariah.
Where is it?
It's with all the promotion. So let's see as we go into this Torah from Aleph again. It's the Mikras Gedolos of Zechariah. So let's go from the beginning of the Torah and let's start making some moves and then we'll go deeper in. And Mitzvah Hashem, hopefully soon we'll have the booklets. God bless you. Yossi. Good morning. When a man knows, when a mensch knows, and he doesn't just believe, he knows. It's in his kishkas. That every single instance, every single thing that happens to him in this world, every text message he receives, every encounter he has with another human being, every every conversation with a parent, with a child, with a spouse, is all for his good. When a mensch mamish knows this, let's go. When a mensch mamish knows that a yitzchak comes from an Avram, which is gevura coming from chesed, that the origins are in chesed, heim l'toivosai, and we mentioned that may be for tshuva purposes, that may be to make a kapara for his averas. That may be to give him more schar and oilam haba. That may be to do a pidyon on his nefesh, that he doesn't die prematurely. Which we explained all these in the last year. And all these things are here to bring him closer to Hashem be'emes. When a person lives with that reality, so he's living in a world of oilam haba. He's already living in the world to come. He's living a reality, Kimei Hashemayim al haaretz, like my Rebbe always says, like the days of heaven down on this earth. Kimei Hashemayim, like the days of heaven on this earth.
Take the Rosh Hashiva Shabbos.
The Rosh Hashiva Shabbos, Mamish. You know, we know of Haber, I don't know. It's hard to distinguish the difference.
They say Shabbos is main Olam Haba. I think Olam Haba is main Rosh Hashiva Shabbos.
Oh, good. And then you make Havdalah, you're like, where am I? Oh, it was all a dream. And where do we see this din come out? Is that it says that even though things in this world that are good, you make hatoiv v'ametiv, Rabbi Shlomo is working on bracha card and mamish as we speak. So get ready. The 2.0 version bracha card is coming up. It's coming on fresh. When you have a better bottle of wine, and when you have a baby boy, and when you have something which is good for you and others, you make hatoiv v'ametiv. Hatoiv, God, you are good, you're toiv, and meitiv, you do things that we see as good. Zechariah, that is good, that is emanating as good. Hatoiv, you're the good, and you're doing things that I see as good, and you're native. But when you see things that are not so good, if someone passes away, lo aleinu, you make Baruch Dayan Ha'emes. You should all live until 120 years. It's not the Shem. But the Tur Shulchan Aruch points out that you should make that blessing with simcha. You should make that blessing with a nefesh chafetza. You should make that blessing with the sense that Hashem, you have a plan here. Chazal say when Mashiach comes, so you're also going to make openly hatoiv ve'ametiv on what seems wrong, because you will know that it's not wrong, it's not bad. You'll see that it's all the toivosai.
Are you allowed to now?
No. Because it's as if to say that you're claiming like, I'm an Olam Haba guy, mamish. You should be an Olam Haba guy in a bechina of Olam Haba. But to be moitzi it mikoyach al poyel, to say that I could mamish say it with poyel, is a bit dishonest. It's a bit dishonest. Because we're not mamish holding in that place. Thank you so much. Oh, Zachariah. Okay, we're gonna get there.
Even someone who is holding there,
He can't say it, he has to feel it. As if to say, and we'll get to this in Zechariah in a moment. We know that right now we're not allowed to pronounce Hashem's name Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. But in the time to come we will. It's if to say, I can pronounce the name. Whoa, buddy. Khan Kanievsky doesn't pronounce the name. Chimar doesn't pronounce the name. Rashi never pronounced the name. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai doesn't pronounce the name. This that the J's witnesses don't say it. You can't pronounce the name. We're not there yet. Yeah, Yosef.
I heard some great people like Avram Abulafia would say the name when doing practical Kabbalah.
You can never pronounce it.
Okay.
No, you can't pronounce the name. Whoa! The Kohen Gadol could in Beis Hamikdash.
on Yom Kippur.
That's what I'm saying. Because that's Mamash Olam Haba. Like they say that what is Shabbos? Me'ein Olam Haba. And what is the Torah called? Yom Kippur? Shabbos Shabbosai. So if Shabbos is Me'ein Olam Haba, then Yom Kippur is Mamish Olam Haba.
So what's Purim?
And what's Purim with the Rosh Shiva?
Oh.
Yom Kippur is a Me'ein Purim with the Rosh Shiva.
Oh.
Just going up. Malim b'kodesh ve'ein moridin. Vegas. This is a b'china of Olam Haba. So we can't pronounce the name yet. But this is what King David is telling us, that Bahashem, that in Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is when I see things revealed good in my life, Ahalil Dovar, I will praise. And also Belikim, when I see things as Midas Adin, when I see things as challenging, also Ahalil Dovar, I also praise you, Hashem. I don't say Toiv V'Ametiv, but I praise you through the challenge. That I know that it's L'Toiva Si. I know that it's for my good. And when a mensch knows this, K'sha'odam Yodeya, that this is for my good, you're living in a bechina of Olam Haba. And Olam Haba is characterized by great simcha, happiness, shleimus, tranquility of the soul. This is not medical advice, but this is anti-anxiety medicine. Rav Nachman said he was the große doctor, a big doctor. There's no cortisol, no spiking cortisol in Olam Haba. It's mamish smooth, it's tranquil. It's It's like a drop of water returning to the ocean. It's a tranquility. V'zois ha'bechina hi me'ein olam haba. Kamoi sha'amru chachamenu zechoin livrocha. Like the Gemara says in Pesachim, Mandaf Nun Aleph, based on the verses Zechariah, chapter 14. I'd like to see this together. Says Zechariah. By the way, if you really want to understand the end of days, and this is a message for all of humanity, you want to understand the end of days, open up Zechariah 13, 14. It gets a bit wild over here. And Mamish gets laid over here. Zechariah here speaks a lot about V'haya ba'yoy mahu, and it will be on that day. Speaking about Mashiach. He has a lot of, and it will be on that day, and it will be on that day, and it will be on that day. There's a lot of, and it will be on that day. Very special.
Has any of it come true already?
We're seeing it happening. As the Rosh Hashanah so beautifully pointed out, Mamish Nifla, that we know that Mashiach is described as coming in two ways. Pisom Yovoy could happen very quickly, or it could happen Ka'ani haroichev ala chamor, like a poor man riding on a donkey. So the Rosh Hashanah said something I had not thought about in the way that he said it on Shabbos Kodesh. I Shalosh Shudas. Anybody notice that his Shalosh Shudas Torahs this week were mamish Chassidish Torahs?
I feel like I was at a tish.
It was Poshet, Rebbish, Tish, Darshanik, Shalosh Shudas Torahs, Goy B'Mogoy. And he said that one of the ideas of why it's so painful that Mashiach would come like an ani, haroichav al chamor, like a poor man riding on a donkey, is because it's slow. It's slow, it's drawn out. How many meters an hour does a donkey go? I love that, meters an hour. That's too slow. It's too slow. The world needs fixing. The world needs love and compassion. It's too painful. So that's not good, that it's so slow. Right? There's still so much darkness in the world that there still exists a dark web that apparently people go on. That's really dark and horrible. It's slow. And then he said something so good. He said, you know what else is so painful? Is that when something happens so slow, you don't notice it happening. That was such a good hair. He said, imagine Kriyas Yamsuf happened slowly, over the period of like 10 or 20 years. So first there was a little bit of erosion, and then the waters, the tide started moving and pushing water. And over 10 years, the water started to go up and up. Slowly, you didn't even see it. So by the time you were 20 years old, you just saw a wall of water straight up in the air. So you'd think like, oh, yeah, this seems pretty normal. He said, look what's happening in the world today. It's so miraculous, but it's so slow that you miss what's really happening. We're missing what's happening. And all the Gemaras are coming true. The war of Paras and Edom. And the Gemara doesn't come to a conclusion. We're still discussing up there what's going to be. There's two opinions. Gemara. In Yuma, Daf Yud, Kedai to see it. The Gemara leaves two opinions. Either Paras will overcome Edom, or Edom will overcome Paras. Even though the Mefarshim say, but it seems to say, the Gemara of Avodah Zarah, which we learn with the Olam, that Paras and Edom will be the two big players at the end of days. And when Hashem returns to his throne, so both nations will come forward and present their case to Hashem. So the Mefarshim say, yeah, that's going to be before. then there will be something afterwards. It's talking about two phases. Fascinating. And that Taiman would be a part of this. When was the last time in 2,000 years that Yemen was...
Wasn't part of anything.
And the Gemara says that Yemen is going to be aligned with Paras. Thousands of years, just kind of quiet. And all of a sudden in the news. We take it as just, regular, world events. So we're not noticing the ani haroichav al chamor means we don't notice it happening. And that's what's so painful, is that it's literally unfolding before our very eyes, but we're missing it. So kedai to see Zechariah. Moshe.
So what's on Shabbos? I think it's Asher. I never thought about it, but I think it's a good point. When Mashiach comes now, like 80% or more of the Jewish people are not kind of really shomer Torah. So is it even a good thing necessarily to come to it now?
So you should know there was a big discussion between the tzaddikim, the Rob Shetzer and other tzaddikim, really the big Yechidei Adoros, the big tzaddikim. So they were fighting that Mashiach would not yet come. The Rebbe was in this camp also, and others. Why? Because there was a famous Maisa. Oh, what a Maisa, Rabbi Yisai. That the Kamarner Rebbe, he came in very late one Shavuos from davening. I mean very late from davening on the night of Shavuos. And they only started the Suda. He came in to make Kiddush at like 3 or 4 in the morning. He was davening Ma'ariv. And all of a sudden we're there, like by the the Rebbe's Tish, like it's getting a bit late here for the Suda. It's getting a bit early. And they said, Rebbe, like, what's going on? So the Rebbe said that there was a big discussion in Shemayim if Mashiach should come right now. And by the way, it's one of my favorite stories. It's so Shavuos based, it's so much the days that we're getting into as we get close to the 3 weeks, which is very auspicious also for Mashiach coming. And the Rebbe said there was a big discussion in Shemayim that Mashiach should come right now, and I was pushing that he should not yet come. Like, what? I said I was pushing that Mashiach should not yet come because there was a few Yiddilas that if Mashiach would come right now, they would not receive their tikkun. So this one of the Yidden that were there said, Rebbe, come on, like for a couple Yiddilis, like what's up? Mashiach, now! We need it! So the Rebbe looked at this Yid and he said, by the way, you were one of those ones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you called that right.
Say in front of everyone else. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's surely embarrassing.
So, Reb Tzvi Meyer Zilberberg asked an amazing question. End of the Maisa. Asked an amazing question. He said the Rebbe didn't answer the question. The question was, why would Mashiach not come for the sake of a few oddballs out? And the Rebbe said, and you were one of them. Well, how's that an answer? Didn't address the question of should Mashiach come for the majority, and then a couple people won't receive their tikkun.
Does it mean that he's one of them, or is that one is like, without one you don't have a whole? Like each one is the whole, each individual is the whole, and each soul is the individual. So it could be.
He should have said that. He should have been masber. Why was he saying that? And you weren't one of them. And furthermore, maybe that would sound like a bit embarrassing to the guy. What was the message that the Rebbe was trying to give over? So you might have said, what's that?
It's actually majority instead of minority. Meaning that the regular guy who actually wanted Mashiach still doesn't even get it.
Meaning that it is a majority, like Mordechai said. Like that one guy is a majority.
I think he just needs to be considered.
saying without the one, we're not measuring.
Yeah, every
one matters.
The Rebbe said, he said there's only a few people. He said there's a few people, meaning it looks like the Rebbe was agreeing that there was a majority. We're ready to go. But there's a few people, he was acknowledging the Roiv. The Roiv will receive their tikkun. That their souls will be fixed. So it sounded like, what's happening? What is this? What was the vort that he was saying? So he said such a good vort. He said, do you know what it means? And this is so apropos to these days of Sphira also. He said, do you know what it means? That you were one of them? He was saying that the energy that you are embodying, which is the energy of not caring about all the other Yidden, is exactly why I can't have him come. That is the energy that's holding him back from coming. The energy of you thinking that there's such a thing that he should come at the expense of somebody else. That was holding the whole thing back. And until that energy has been totally fixed in the world, he can't come. Yeah.
So how do we make sense of this, but also like, how do we reconcile this idea with the idea of like Erev and in the times of Mashiach there being a separation between Klal Yisrael and Erev, or
A birur. Birur. There's a big discussion what tikkun of the Erev is. The end of the day is the whole birur is, once you can make a separation, and hopefully there could be tshuva, a person starts refining. The separation doesn't have to be this guy as opposed to that guy. Separation is happening inside the human being himself. That the Erev, what does Erev even mean? Erev means a taroivus, means a mixture. The mixed multitudes, there's a mixture, there's an admixture of something negative that has the venom has been injected in and is now confused in the person. So the person themselves can go through that separation, that boyer, that birur, separating out that which is impure, which is pure from inside his own heart. So that's the tikkun. And that's all the yisurim that people are going through. Is that hopefully it's bringing a person to tshuva and pidyon and kapara. And that's going to be a good thing. So hopefully that birur will happen and everybody will be able to remove the evil from their hearts.
so we only believe that it'll be happening on an individual level, or do we also believe that it will happen on both an individual and a collective level in terms of there will be a group of people who are Erev that will be separated from?
So they can seem to say that there's a tikkun for everybody if they get there. And we hope they will. And everything is pushing the world towards make that birur. You're seeing now that the forces of evil are getting so strong on one side, but the forces of goodness are also getting so strong on the other side. It's becoming such a distinction. Like that which is dark is so dark nowadays. And that which is good is so good, so beautiful. So hopefully as that is happening, people will be able to recognize that which is dark and say, I don't want to be a part of that. And then the way that we describe the prayers of Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, the tichle, rishe, ka'ashem tichle, like the way that smoke, just goes up and disappears. That evil in the world will disappear like smoke just going up. It'll just disappear. And hopefully that evil in a person's heart will just dissipate. Johnny!
Why do we have the prayer then, destroy those who attempt to physically or spiritually destroy us? That was written for the Jews who were like slandering the Jewish religion, like the internal.
The Lamoshinim.
Yeah, so why can't they also be saved? So why are we praying?
Praying for the
destroy-
evil inside the heart.
Oh, so it's not actually destroying them, it's only the evil parts of them.
That's right.
Okay.
The monster energy inside.
Oh, look.
So if it's about like not wanting the few to be left out though, nowadays our rates are getting worse of Jews that are leaving Judaism. I guess then if our percentages of non-religious Jews are going up, right? Is it that
So
we
we have
just
a lot of work
want
to do, though.
so that everyone who is religious just wants everyone who's not to be religious, and that makes Mashiach regardless of our percentages of non-religious going up?
It's hard to say that we can sleep, 8 hours a night nowadays. We've got a lot of work to help these individuals. And then,
Mashiach come prior to them. Does everyone have all you to be religious prior to Mashiach?
it seems that the whole Messianic unfolding is something that is a process. That as the Messianic era unfolds, we'll see more and more people becoming more identified with Torah mitzvahs and them abandoning the evil ways, the bad ways. It's a process.
You do tshuva post Mashiach?
Yes.
Really?
But this that it says, Yom She'en Be'em Chayfetz, the way that the Mefarshim explain days that you'll no longer have any desire, the way that they describe this is that that's not the beginning of the Messianic era. The beginning of the Messianic era is that Mashiach will come and he's going to be the Peli Yoetz. One of the names of Mashiach is the Peli Yoetz, the wondrous advisor. So he's going to come and advise human beings on how to fix themselves.
Why don't we do it now and then be ready for
That would be great. Let's go.
That's what we're doing here in Yeshiva?
That's Noach made Tevis Noach, that you'll go out of the Teva and you'll go and help humanity. This is just the headquarters to then help soldiers go forth and be able to fight the good fight and bring light to the world.
So it sounds like this is not similar to Yetzias Mitzrayim, where only 20% made it out.
So the Rosh Yeshiva did say that it is a bit scary that 20% is probably, that 2080 is a little bit what you see today. The way he said it is, where are those 80%? Are they even identified as being part of the Jewish mission? So it's not good. Now, as the Messianic era unfolds, so the Tzaddikim teach us that people will go through what they need to go through. That they will have missed, the way the Rambam describes the whole Messianic era, is that you'll get to essentially learn Torah uninterrupted and receive schar that you'll take with you into Olam Haba. So every minute, every day counts, every week counts until the year 6000. So those that it takes them another decade or two, once Mashiach comes, so that's not great. Every extra second of an additional piece of Tosfos that you could understand, that it only happened because as Mashiach was coming, so you were still getting your act together. They're missing something. But in the end, there'll be a full tikkun. Be a full tikkun. So look at the verses of Zechariah. In Kedai, Rabbi Say, you got to see. V'haya b'ya, it's all about the end of days. It's all about the end of days. And by the way, there's challenge here, but there's so much beauty. It speaks about the Mount of Olives is going to open up. Streams of water are going to come burst forth. Rivers. The land of Israel is going to be so fruitful.
Basically, the mountain over there was a crack and a half. And there was a rabbi who lived on this side, and every day he'd look out his window and say, like, making sure, like, shift here yet, get to the window, the mountain will crack open.
And rivers flowing forth, and resurrection. V'haya b'yemahu, says Rashi, Kishi yeboka harazesim. When harazesim, the Mount of Olives, opens up, splits, min mizrach l'mayr, from east to west. And it's going to be v'yotza mayim chayim, Yerushalayim. And the living waters are going to go forth from Jerusalem. There's going to be these rivers opening up. And the rivers mean that there's going to be abundance of the 7 species. There's going to be an oasis And we see that the rivers of Israel are starting to open up. We're starting to see that water is returning to the land, as it started once the Jewish nation came back, which itself is miraculous. That an ancient nation came back to their promised homeland. It's miraculous. Which ancient nation, after 2,000 years, came back to their homeland, as was promised and foretold? But we see it as like, yeah, you just hop on an El Al flight and like head on over. As we mentioned, the greats never even came here. The Baal Shem Tov, the Vilna Gaon, the Chafetz Chaim never came to Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu, they never made it to Eretz Yisrael. We hop on a flight. I don't know. Should I go on like the midnight flight, or should I go on at 6 a.m.? I don't know. Like, I was gonna go out for dinner, so let's see like what makes sense for me. And according to Rosh Yeshiva, we're a bunch of spoiled brats. Excuse my French. We're so missing it. Ka'ani aroichev ala chamor. It's so slow. We don't even realize what's happening on the wings of eagles. Isn't that amazing? On the wings of eagles, flying through a piece of tinfoil through the air. An eagle carrying us over. Come and go as we please. We're literally in the messianic unfoldment right now. That an ancient nation comes back to our land. That an ancient nation is still here, intact, strong, small in number, hated, all the prophecies. Am Yisrael Chai. It's amazing. So Zechariah says, Kedai Rabbi Yisrael, to see these psukim. Zechariah 14:9. V'haya Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz. We say it every single day. And Hashem will be the king on the entire land. Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. On the entire Aretz, which means down here. We start seeing Yud-Kei Vav-Kei down here in the world of Elohim. Ha'aretz, Ha'teva. Ba'yoyim ha'hu. And on that day, the days of Mashiach, Yashem echad u'shmoi echad. Says Rashi, Yashem echad. Shekol ha'umas, that all the nations of the world, she'ein lahem Torah amitis, that they're going in confused ways, that they're going in ways that are rebelling against God, or they're confused. Yazvu havleim, they're going to leave their empty ways. On that day, v'yoidu loy shehu echad ve'ein imoy el necha, that there's no other foreign God. There's going to be an absolute unity consciousness for all humanity, which means the messianic unfolding is a humanity reality, a team humanity. Hashtag that one. Team humanity. Get that?
After hashtag YouTube.
U'shmoi echad. This is so beautiful, Rashi. She'eshmoi nizkar b'pi kulam. That God's name will be on the lips of everyone. Now, the way the Rambam describes this also, that's one of the gifts of Christianity and Islam, of moving humanity towards this ultimate destiny, that billions of people are abandoning their idols and talking about God, which otherwise would have been a world of paganism, a world of the Baal, God forbid, a world of Moilech, God forbid, Oivi, Yudaini, all the black magic, all the foreign gods, an absolute rejection of the Baal, a rejection of Moilech or Molech. People have a hard time pronouncing the an absolute rejection of all of that evil, so much so that God's name will be the Pikulam. It'll be on the lips of every single person. People will be talking about God. Bayoimahu Yashem Echad Ushmo Echad. Say the Mafarshim. There's so much here. You got to see these psukim, Rabbi said. Yashem Echad. Roit Saloimer says the Mitzudas. Lo Yavdu Oid LaAvodas Koychav. Nobody's going to be worshiping the stars anymore. V'hayo Hashem LaMelech. Roit Saloimer. As Kol HaOkum Yikabeluhu. All of the idol worshipping people will accept LaEloika. Will accept God. V'yaminu bo. The world will have emunah. The world will have emunah. Will have absolute clear conviction and connection to God. V'haya lemelech. Now look at this. Look at the Radak. V'haya Hashem lemelech. Kishiyiru hagoyim aboyim al Yerushalayim. When the nations of the world come to Yerushalayim, remember this is speaking about the Messianic unfolding. They're going to come to Yerushalayim. As we see a lot in all the psukim in Isaiah about the nations of the world streaming to Jerusalem, to Yerushalayim, saying, let us go up to Tzion, to Zion. This is the Zionism of the Torah. The Tzion. It doesn't say Zionism, by the way, anywhere. It says Tzion. They're going to come up to Zion. And what are they going to say? They're going to say, we see the niflois, the wondrous, wondrous miracles and Hizkaras that have all been mentioned, that are all foretold. Yakiru ki Hashem hu ha'moilech al kol ha'aretz. They're going to understand that Hashem is the only king. Hashem is the only melech on the whole land. Umashgiach b'tachtoinim. And Hashem is involved with us in our lives. V'oisa behem kiritzoino. And Hashem can do anything that He wants. That boim hoifech lasos rotzen yireya ki hakol ma'aseh yodim. And the entire natural world, Hashem could flip upside down for all those that do the will of God. In other words, what we call physical reality is negotiable. Spiritual reality is non-negotiable. Generally, the world says, physical reality, like that's like non-negotiable, you know what I'm saying? It's all negotiable. Physical reality, God can make any miracle He wants. Hashem hu Elokim. Elokim, which is Hateva, which is the natural world, is all emanating from Yud Kei Vav Kei, the infinite one. And therefore God could change nature as He pleases, as He has done so many times. And they're going to see this. The Messianic era, according to many, will be categorized with miracles. And those miracles will help human beings understand that all of the natural world is negotiable. And spiritual reality is non-negotiable. Yosef.
I thought the Rambam says Mashiach doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to, but the Zohar says he can and he will.
The more miracles that happen, isn't it the worst job that we did?
It's a removal of free will, yeah. It's not great. It's not great. We want a messianic unfolding that we deserve. But at a certain point, that Hashem wants to give good to everybody. The question is, are we going to be able to receive it? So this whole Torah is about us understanding how to receive that good. So it says the Rebbe back inside. The Rabbi said, get involved in these psukim in Zechariah. This is like the world to come. And on that day, God will be one, and His name will be one. So the Gemara says, "V'hikshu The Gemara asks the kasha, "Ve'ha'idna lavhu echad?" What do you mean? Now he's not one? Only on that day will he and his name be one. What do you mean? Isn't that the basis of all of our emunah? Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hashem is one. So the Gemara answers, Tertzu Chachameinu Zichron Livrocha Ha'idna. Nowadays, we make the bracha Mevarchen al ha'toiva ha'toiva native ve'al ha'ra daina emes. We make the bracha when something is good, ha'toiv. Hashem, you are the good, and you bestow good. But when it appears to us that it's not good, we make daina emes. But the secret is, like we mentioned in the beginning today, Mipi elyon lo teitze harois, like Jeremiah says, that from on high nothing bad comes. Which really means this that we don't see that it's good, it's because we're still making problems down here. We haven't opened up to understand that Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, is Elokim. So now it gets a bit deep, especially when we get to the third part. The second and third part of this Torah is why don't we see it as good? If truly Hashem is Echad, Ushmoi, and Elokim is also Echad, then Elokim is one with Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Why don't we see it? The only reason we don't see it is because of our averos. Ula'asit kulo ha'toy va'ametiv. Yeshem Hashem u'shem Elokim achdus echad. So we're going to explain this much more in depth, but essentially, in summary now, it's just an introduction to the whole Torah. We'll go into this more tomorrow. As long as, God forbid, there's averas, so that energy of an avera, what happens? The idea of an avera is the following. Our souls come from what's called malchus. We go all the way up to Atzilus, Chacham da Atzilus. But down here, our souls are coming from the Shekhinah Kadosh, from malchus. If we take this exalted soul, God forbid, and then do something we shouldn't do, God forbid, so that spark of the godly soul gets trapped somewhere else. Where does it get trapped? It gets trapped in what's called the Sitra Achra, the dark side. Essentially, what Kabbalah books are teaching us is that there's two kingdoms. There's the kingdom of goodness, and then there's the kingdom of the dark side. Now, why is there a kingdom of the dark side? To allow for free will, to reject the kingdom of darkness. But if a person has been seduced by the kingdom of the dark side, so they then take that spark of holiness, and it gives them power. Now, it's very interesting. What gives a kingdom of darkness power and leverage? That's why this is one of the most evil things in the world. And it's so amazing because all of mythology is really based on this idea. Every Lord of the Rings and every movie like that you ever saw is based on this idea. That if the power of the dark side wants to have some power, what gives it power?
Fear.
It gets power if it could somehow kidnap the princess of the kingdom of goodness.
Yeah, Mario.
Is she a mermaid or something?
No, Bowser tries to steal the princess.
Bowser is saying
against the...
Yeah, Pasha.
Yes, the princess.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
If Bowser could get the princess. So before Bowser has the princess, he's a nobody.
Pasha
A Pasha nobody. He does mitzvahs. He didn't do mitzvahs. So Bowser's hanging out over there. You don't pay attention to him. You're not mashgiach in him. He's not a Manda Amar. You're not goyrus him. But if Bowser could get the princess, and how would Bowser ever get the princess? That somehow the princess wandered into an area that she shouldn't go to. The princess, of course, is the neshama, is the soul. if the soul wandered somewhere that she shouldn't go, so then Bowser could take the princess. As soon as Bowser is the princess, what happens to his kingdom? It becomes exceptionally powerful immediately. Because now he's holding a hostage leverage
Leverage
of
over Kedusha.
point of Kedusha. At that point now he has this power. So what do you need?
Mar brothers.
Well, I was going to say, well, them to do an extraction.
Extraction.
You need an extraction. Because in so much that he has trapped that point, and God forbid, she's just an example of that. To the degree that Bowser is grabbing the princess, which is many princesses. So it gives Bowser a lot of power. And it makes pain. And it gives him the ability to have strength and have leverage. And essentially what Bowser is doing is, now we have to go beyond just video games, is it's just the analogy.
It's like honest.
Is Bowser is taking and drawing spiritual energy. It's like fuel. And the more sparks that he receives, the more Kedusha that he traps, it gives power to that kingdom, it gives missiles to that kingdom, it gives energy to that kingdom to make pain. And therefore, this that we see pain is because that we've allowed the princess to fall into the wrong hands. Tiyasrucho roscho, like it says in Jeremiah, and the evil will start making pain. And therefore we won't see Elohim as good, we'll see it as Diana Emes. And sometimes the pains could be really bad. They could be, Elohim, remember, is the energy that allows a world to exist, which is ultimately good. Because then there's a God who's good that could give to a creation. But if that Shem Elohim is not just din that allows for a world to exist, which is a good thing, but that din gets its own power, so to speak. So then what comes out of that is what's called din achzari, comes cruel judgment, comes din misava, which means impure things coming into the world. And therefore we don't see that Hashem or Elohim, because Elohim is now being the source of energy to dark forces. But we know in the end of days, what will we see happen? And that's why you have to go to Zechariah Yud Gimel, Zechariah 13. And Zechariah 13 says, with the coming of Mashiach, we will see that this pasuk is so important. This ruach atuma avir min haaretz. That as the Messianic era is unfolding, Hashem says, and I will remove all of that impurity from the land. I will bring the princess back home. And therefore all of that evil din will no longer exist. So I've always said that's Aleph. And that's a little bit of the introduction going forward to Beis. So let's just begin Beis today, and we'll go more into Beis tomorrow with this theme. And when a person has the awareness that Hashem will Elohim, what happens? How are you able to receive this? How are you able to understand this? It's you have to bring back the kingdom of goodness, which means you have to rescue the princess. Where is the princess now trapped? That if the princess is still with Bowser, if the princess is still with those that are worshiping idols, and how did the princess get there in the first place? Because of the Averas. Which means we're taking responsibility here. You have to bring the princess back from the Gullus. And Rav Nachman says, because take a look, let's be honest, Ki achshav hamalchus ve'hamemshala la'akum. That right now, who has the power in the world? If you just open up the news, the forces of darkness. Spiritually, the forces of darkness have a power and are guiding the world, not towards. I don't know, the last time the G20 summit met, I don't think they were reading Tehillim together.
They should have.
I think so.
That would save them.
I think so.
Maybe they.
It is interesting that, the last time the Chevra were hanging out in Davos, so Javier Milei was saying some divrei Torah.
Just here.
Mamish, quoting from Parashas Boy, speaking about Paroi and the plagues.
Really?
Yeah, you had a whole Dvar Torah, and she was just here, and
Every
you
time he
read like
goes
the
up to
Hills
speak, he
and
gives a
the
Dvar
Torah.
So it's fascinating.
Even the eighth grade is
When he
good.
delivers a speech, he starts with, as we read in this week's Parsha, and he gives a
Who's that coming?
Javier Milei.
So, likely he's Lubavitcher.
He wants to convert, but he says being a religious Jew is incompatible with being president.
So he said after he's gonna.
Even though that's not true. Being a religious Jew is the most compatible with being a statesman if you're a King David.
King David.
Oh.
If you're Shlomo HaMelech. I'm saying. But the idea of being a statesman and it not being compatible with being Orthodox is a fallacy. Because the greatest Orthodox rabbi of all time was King David. And he was a king. He was a master politician. That the greatest statesman is supposed to be aligned with the prophets. That's why our dear friend Elon Meir Teichman, he says his favorite painting, and he always shows this to the Chevra, it's so beautiful, because he's such a Mashiach human being, is one of the beautiful paintings from the Temple Institute, where they have a picture of the Aron Kodesh, picture of the Ark, and the Kohen Gadol is standing there, the prophet. He's standing by the Ark. And Hashem is speaking, Beina Kruvim. Hashem is giving them the prophetic message between the Kruvim, between the angelic figurines. And he's receiving a message from God. And right behind the Kohen Gadol, the prophet, is the king standing there like this. Because the king is saying, I don't budge unless I have a prophetic indication to make a move. Which means the king, the political leader, is saying that I'm receiving my counsel. Who's my chief advisor? The prophet of God. And that's a way to run a government, Rabbi said. That's a way to run a government. Is that yes, the statesman is holding in a place of receiving direct communication. Furthermore, the king has his own Sefer Torah that he has to write and bind to his bicep. Which means he himself is saying, I don't budge without direction from God. And therefore, the next time the World Economic Forum meets, I think we should hand out Tehillim. Transliteration. And we should have all of them reciting the Psalms of King David. And I think that would help move humanity in a much healthier direction. So may Hashem Mamish bless us. That as we're moving through this era of Mashiach, and we're able to do the extraction to bring the princess back, that she could return to her throne, she could return to the kingdom of goodness, and we'll see Mamish once and for all. That the world will be filled with the blessing of Hashem. Like the prophet Zechariah says, that on that day Hashem will be the Melech al Kol Haaretz, that the whole world will recognize and abandon their idols and come to the oneness of God. And humanity will be speaking about God. And we're so much looking forward to that. Even Donald J. seems to speak about God a lot. Bezrat Hashem. And may he continue to speak about God. And may all political leaders speak about God. May Putin speak about God. And Kim Jong-un speak about God. And all the leaders of the world speak about God. Because that's what's going to happen. That those days are going to be before us. That we're going to see everybody speaking about God. With the coming of Mashiach, Hayoim Mamish, that you should get off of the Chamor, get off of the donkey, and Mamish sprint, Rabbi Stein. The time has come, Hayoim, in the Koilet Tishmo, and when we see with that, the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, B'mehera V'yemena, Amen V'Amen. La la la